Welcome to One Girl in All the World, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
I'm Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube, and Instagram with new episodes on Tuesdays. All right, today we are talking about the episode, Season 2, Episode 20, Go Fish. And it was originally aired on May 5th, 1998, and written by Ellen Hampton and David Fury. So I was shocked that there was actually a female writer on this episode.
Oh, because yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, it has to be written by just a man. But they're one guy and a girl. All right, and the synopsis is, when a monster starts preying on members of the high school swim team, Buffy takes it upon herself to become the protector of the star players. Meanwhile, Xander goes undercover to discover the truth about the missing teammates and end up revealing a rarely seen side of himself. Can live with that description. And yeah, so I would say, I'm trying to get better with my trigger warnings here. I would say trigger warnings for sexual assault and victim blaming in this episode.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, but even better, we get a Slayer opening again. Episode 20, everybody. We get a season 2. We get a Slayer opening.
Right.
But we go to a new location. So we go to the beach. Is where we start the episode. And
there's kids' cars. There's a bonfire. There's a big party going on.
Beer pong. Did you say beer pong?
I said party.
Okay. Oh, yeah. They have a beer pong table. Yeah. So it's at the beach. There's a big party.
Did high school do stuff like this?
No.
Okay.
Not like at beaches. No. Yeah. So we find out from Cordelia that it's the victory party for the swim team because they won their match, and Xander is kind of like annoyed that they are being kind of like hailed like as heroes or like really, elevated in this, the pecking order of the school, basically.
He's jealous though.
Yeah. And Cordelia's like, what? It's about time we, we're known for something or excelled at something. And Willow says, other than our like high mortality rate.
Yeah. Oh,
so while they're standing around the bonfire, Buffy is kind of looking out over the ocean, kind of by herself off to near closer to the water. And a new character that we're going to meet named Cameron Walker comes over and starts talking to her about the ocean. And he's kind of like waxing poetic. Like he's kind of like, looks like, I didn't see that he was quoting anything, but it sounded like he was quoting something about the ocean.
Definitely sounded like a quote, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't come up with anything, but yeah, it did sound like he was like quoting a poem or a passage of something.
Like, beautiful, adaptable, nurturing, merciless.
Yeah. And talking about the mother, like it's the mother and all this. So we find out that Cameron's on the swim team and obviously they won. So Buffy's talking to him about that. And he says he wants to get to know her. And she's kind of like, he's like, no pressure. Just want to get to know you better. And she's like, okay.
Well, this is kind of cute because like she says, hey, Cameron Walker, you won the whatever swim meet or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do next? And he's like, hang with Buffy Summers, and I was like, that's kind of cute. I thought that was kind of a cute pickup line. Yeah,
like when you first watch this or you haven't seen it in a long time, you're like, okay, like all right, like I could get down with the guy. No, quickly.
After that,
it lasts like very short time, but like, yeah, he's like, yeah, no pressure. I just want to get to know you, and she's like, all right, like that seems harmless enough. So they're watching, they're just like chit chatting, and then we hear Jonathan. Jonathan comes back.
Forgetting this kid's name. Like he appears in so many episodes and I just keep writing kid. Like, ugh.
Jonathan, yeah. Jonathan, we need to note that he says, somebody help me. He yells, somebody help me. So of course Buffy gets up and he's basically being dunked into the like cooler, like cold water and ice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought it was, he's like, they're basically waterboarding the poor kid.
Yeah. They're putting him, and it's other swimmers, people from the swim team, and they're bullying him. And Buffy goes up there and stops it. And then Jonathan's like, I didn't ask for your help. I was like, you did, dude. You just yelled, somebody help me.
You just took the girl to help him.
I guess that's what it is, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he says, I can take care of this myself, and like walks off. Like, thanks a lot. Like, what did...
Yep, dick move, whatever.
Yeah.
She notices a guy's tattoo.
Yeah, she pulls the guy off of him. Then it has like a
shark tattoo, and she's like, out of Tweety Bird.
Yeah, it was a shark with like smoking something or something. There's some other like element to it, but it's like a really cartoony looking shark.
Actually,
There's water around it.
like a half ring of water or something.
Oh, like a wave or something.
Yeah, like it was jumping out of. I don't know. They didn't land on it very long, so.
Yeah, so we just basically we know like okay, like belongs on this person, and Buffy is making fun of it because it's not a very good tattoo. So that guy is named Dodd.
What the names in this episode?
Yeah, I know. So Dodd, and then him and Buffy kind of start getting into it, and another character, these guys are all on the swim team, named Gage, kind of pulls him away and has him like they just like walk down on the beach. Now the guy that plays Gage, I meant to look up his name, but I know he was like on Prison Break, that show, like later on, like he was like the lead in Prison Break. Did you ever see that show? I never watched it, but I know he was in that. He was like the lead, I think, in that show.
I thought Cameron looked familiar to me for some reason.
I didn't. No. Nothing came to me, but you may have been in something that that you've seen that I haven't seen.
Gage was in Prison Break, though.
Yeah. And there was a really surprising cameo in here that I was like, oh my god, I forgot all about this, about somebody that we'll get to.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, oh, is that? Like, I had totally forgotten about it.
Okay.
So, Dodd and Gage are walking down the beach, and they smell something. Well, first of all, Dodd kind of, like, disappears from behind him. And it's just Gage walking. Gage smells something. He's like, ugh, what is that smell, man? Or whatever.
Well, it's because they refer to it all episode.
Yeah, it's reoccurring stink. And Gage looks around for Dodd. He's not there, so he just keeps walking and going to, there's like another part of the party that's further down the beach. And so we hear like a struggle, basically, and like kind of like, it's not like somebody being killed, and somebody like, ah! And then we pan over to like just basically a skin bag.
Yeah, it's so gross. Yeah, it's pretty gross looking.
It's gross. And the tattoo, we see the tattoo on the skin, so we know it's Dodd's skin.
And some sort of creature walks off, but we can't really see what it is.
Yeah, there's a creature that goes into like a big sewer. Yeah. Like it looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
It does, yes, it does look like the creature from the
so that's what you can visualize. So, and he kind of, that creature kind of creeps into the sewers. And then we go to the credits, and then we come back into computer class that Willow is still teaching.
Right, she's still teaching.
Yeah, still doing that thing.
She's good. She's good at this.
Yeah, she's enjoying it. And she gets to the back of the room. She's checking everybody's work. And Gage is back there. And he is doing solitaire. He's playing solitaire with naked girls on the cards.
Yeah, it's really weird.
And he obviously isn't doing his work. And that's the end of the class. And everybody leaves. And Principal Snyder comes in and essentially wraps up this whole conversation. Like in essence, the whole conversation is about him a roundabout way telling Willow that she needs to pass Gage.
Whether he does his work or not.
Yeah. She says he doesn't have any test scores because he doesn't take any of his tests. He doesn't show up. He has behavioral problems. And he says, basically, you need to give him a D because he's now like the star swim, like he's one of the stars of the swim team, and they need to win like state or whatever.
Fair, because she's just trying to grade fairly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's telling her, you need to just give him a grade, let the athletes fly by. That way they can still play. Because obviously, if you don't have good enough grades, you get kicked off the team or suspended.
You know if any of this stuff happened at your high school? I've heard of this happening in the States.
I mean, not that I knew of, but I have no idea. I could have.
It definitely didn't happen at my high school.
Yeah,
I heard on all the sports guys were like, you have to still study, you have to like get your stuff together, or you're not playing, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I didn't really. Nothing came to my attention.
This is American TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and he also asks her if she can keep teaching till the end of term.
Yeah.
Because they're having a hard time finding a teacher.
Well, they don't have to pay her, so great.
Yeah, ridiculous. In the hallway, Willow tells Cordelia and Xander about Snyder that it was obvious that he was just telling her to pass Gage and give him a D. And Xander is again mad about the swim team because he says, some of us work hard for our Ds.
And then Cordelia is like, that's just the way the world works. And then I think Xander's like, oh, what about all that men are created equal thing? And she's like, it's propaganda spouted out by ugly and less deserving. Oh my God. Cordelia.
That was a good line. Yeah. And And yeah, he just like basically this whole conversation is about like the winners or like people of like higher status getting special privileges. And Xander's not for that.
Yeah.
And he says, I really would love to like talk to Buffy about this, but she's too busy being one of them, one of the swim team.
And then we cut to Buffy in Cam's car. And I'm going to say to you, before anything happens, before anyone says anything, this gave me total deja vu to the other time she was in a frat boy's car. Or like, do you remember that episode where there was like those, I think they were college kids.
Reptile Boy?
Think so? Maybe, yeah. She was in that guy's car. Like, and he was like a college guy.
I know she like was by the car. Was she in the car with him?
No.
She came up to the car and talked to him and the two guys in front of the school in Reptile Boy.
It gave me that vibe. Like, oh, weird. And then.
Yeah. So Cam is talking Buffy's ear off about the ocean and all of this stuff. And you can tell she's bored. Like, it's not like, I don't think they're going to hang out much longer. But Buffy's just not feeling it. And she can't get a word in edgewise. And she starts to get out of the car. Well, at first I think he says, okay, like he puts his hand on her leg. And she's like, yeah, no, essentially. And she has to get out of the car and he locks the door.
And then he asks her if she's wearing a bra?
Yeah, he comes onto her, he locks the door, and she's like, what? Like, she's just like floored by all this thing. Yeah. And so...
Not like this.
Yeah, it's like, you wouldn't have thought this from the person you saw on the beach, just from that little snapshot that we saw of him.
Since last night.
Yeah, he said, I've been thinking about this since, you've been thinking about this since last night, too. Yeah, so he comes on to her. He won't take no for an answer, so she hits him. She, like, kind of knocks his face into the steering wheel, and the car beeps. And he's like, oh, you broke my nose. And then, of course, who's walking in front of the car when this happens? Principal Snyder. And he kind of, like, crooks his finger at her.
He's like, come here. And she's
yeah. Yeah. Here we go again. In the nurse's office, this is a horrible scene. Yep. So Cameron's in there, and the nurse is there, and the nurse is giving him an ice pack. Buffy's in there.
Just throws it at him. She's like, here.
Yeah. Buffy is there and Snyder, and basically, and then the swim coach comes in. So that's everyone that's in the room. And they all basically blame Buffy for this happening. He says, I keep calling him the wrong name. Cameron says that she led him on and then attacked him. And, like, nobody even, like, thinks that's an unplausible story.
Yeah. Yep.
They talk about basically it happened because of the way she dresses. That's why he thought that.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Yeah, and then the coach comes in and says, okay, yeah, he should be fine. It will hurt for a couple of days, but it's not broken. And, of course, all Snyder cares about is, will he be able to swim in the meet? Right? Stupid. Especially what happened to Dodd. And Buffy's like, what happened to Dodd? Yeah. Nothing for you to worry about, little lady.
And then he tells her to dress more appropriately because it's not a dance club.
Oh, my God.
My blood was boiling.
I know. This is awful. Yeah, that was the coach. That told her that. Ugh. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Horrible.
She's wearing a normal outfit.
Yeah. Crazy.
Like this, it wasn't spaghetti straps. Not that it would matter anyway, but I'm just like, anything to question.
Yeah. No, it was horrible.
I'm gonna be worried about what women wear.
And I also don't like this next scene either. Like, we go away to the library and Buffy's kind of like ranting about the situation. Yeah, they all blamed her.
She's being labeled a baddie because he has a sprained wrist and bloody nose and she doesn't have a scratch on her.
Yeah. And they all are just kind of like, waiting for her to be finished, and she kind of realizes that, and she's like, what's up with you guys? And Giles says, oh, it's nice of you to notice or take notice. Like, yeah. Nobody cares that she was just like assaulted by this guy and then blamed by multiple teachers.
And they're just like, whatever, get over it.
Yeah, like, they don't even want to have a discussion about it. Yeah. I thought that was pretty shitty.
I thought so too. Like,
even like Willow, all of them were just like,
yeah, whatevs.
Like, who cares? Like, horrible. Yeah, that was terrible. Mm-hmm. So what they're up to is that human remains that was only the skin were found on the beach, and they were identified as Dodd's. So the guy that we saw skinless on the beach, or just his skin, I would say. Yeah. And I like when Xander says, "This is no boating accident," which is from Jaws.
Yeah. And then they realize something ripped him open and ate out his insides. And then Willow says, like an Oreo cookie, except without the chocolatey cookie goodness.
Yeah. Everything, but minus everything that's pleasant about eating an Oreo.
Gross.
And he says that they are trying to keep, the administration is trying to keep it quiet because they don't want the other swimmers to be distracted from their task of winning, the meets and could go to state and all this. And I like how they're like, okay, we need to start narrowing down what kind of creature would do this, and that
any demons with high cholesterol.
And Xander's like, the skin's the best part.
And then Giles just looks at Buffy and she's like, "You're gonna think about that later, mister, and you're gonna laugh."
I liked that. That was great. So yeah, before that, like when we were in the nurse's room, the coach told Cam to go to the steam room and like try to keep it like the swelling of his nose down or whatever. And so we're in the steam room and Cam is there and we kind of like hear things like he's kind of like, who is that? And it's a fake out. It's just the coach coming to tell him to get out of it's meant to build suspense, but it's just nothing. The coach is telling him to get out of the steam room. And Cam comes out of the steam room into the hallway and he runs into Xander, like literally runs into Xander. And Xander kind of falls. And they have a confrontation about how Xander is like, "Oh, I like your nose." Like he knows Buffy did that to him. And that, Buffy's just not one of your privileges that you get when you're on the swim team.
I like that he said that.
Mm-hmm. And they are gonna, Cameron, I keep wanting to call him all two other names. Cameron kind of like is like, "Oh, you're lucky I'm hungry. Like I'm gonna go to the cafeteria and get something to eat." And otherwise he basically was gonna beat Xander up. So Xander goes to the vending machine because he can't choose between grape and orange soda, and it's always orange, not grape. You have to choose. I mean, do you agree?
I do agree with that. Yes, grape is
yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Okay, good. Like we're on the same page about that. So, Cam goes into the cafeteria. He goes in and he smells something bad. So this is the second time somebody has smelled something bad. Yep. And then out in the hallway, Xander hears him scream. Xander runs into the cafeteria and then basically sees another skin sack.
It's steaming this time?
Yeah, gross.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and Xander just kind of like is grossed out, obviously.
Like trying not to
throw up. Mm-hmm. And then he looks up and there's like the same kind of monster. Yeah, so he lizard monster.
Black Lagoon guy.
Mm-hmm, the Black Lagoon guy, and screams. And we're like, "Oh no, it's gonna happen to Xander." So we go to the library, and Cordelia is trying to do like a criminal sketch of the monster. A what?
It's rendering.
Yeah, and Xander's trying to describe it. I think Cordelia got pretty close, honestly.
Good to me. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. And we find out that Dodd and Cameron were the best swimmers on the team. So we think like whoever's going for these people are going for the top swimmers. So the next top swimmer, so the third top swimmer is Gage. Right. So Buffy's going to have to keep an eye on Gage because somebody might be coming after him next. And also they're thinking that Jonathan could be a suspect because he said he was being bullied. And that he said he can take care of it himself. Yeah. So Willow has been tasked to interrogate him and see if he's the one going after the swimmers. So in the student lounge, Buffy is watching Gage, and he kind of notices her.
Yeah, because she's being super honest.
Yeah, and she's reading her magazine upside down. Did you notice that?
Oh, that's awesome.
She like quickly looks back, and it's like upside down. And he's probably like, "Okay." Where's your stealth? You're supposed to be the Slayer. Like, you're not very, very stealthy. In her classroom, I guess it's not Jenny's classroom anymore, it's Willow's classroom. Mm-hmm. Willow interrogates Jonathan and says, like, "Okay, you tried out for the swim team twice and you didn't make it." He's like, "Yeah, I have asthma, so I didn't make it. And yeah, I guess I was like resentful of that." And she's like, "So you got into the black arts and raised a demon to eat the swimmers, right?" He's like, "No. I just snuck in yesterday and peed in the pool."
And she's like, "Oh, ew."
And he's like, "What?" no, I just peed in the pool like a normal person.
Yep.
And she's like, well, darn. Guess it's not. Guess that's not what we're after, actually. In the hallway, we have Snyder and the coach, swim coach, talking about the team because they're dropping like flies here.
We need more people.
We're not even going to qualify because we don't have enough members. And
be a swimmer. It can just be anybody that wears a bathing suit. It's fine.
yeah, and guess who overhears this? Xander. And so we're at the Bronze that night, and Buffy is again on gauge duty, so she's watching him. And again, doing a horrible job of it. Not being stealthy at all.
Because she can be stealthy as she wants to be. So
yeah.
I don't know why she's being so obvious.
Yeah, she's not doing a good job. And so, of course, he catches her. He's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you following me? Like, what are you doing?
My shadow act.
Yeah. And she says, like, she pretends like she's like a swimmer groupie or whatever. And he doesn't buy that. And she tries to tell him, hey, something's killing. She just comes out with it, actually. She's like, hey, something's killing the people on the swim team, and I'm just trying to protect you. And he, like, does not react. I mean, I can get him not believing her. But how he's like, oh, yeah, Cameron told me about your mind tricks and all of this stuff. Like, buying into all that, whatever crap Cameron was spinning about Buffy. Yeah. And so he leaves, and she just lets him go. Like, okay, go get yourself killed. That's fine. Mm-hmm. In the alley, we see Angel runs into Gage.
Yeah, well, Gage is muttering, psycho bitch. And Angel walks up and goes, oh, you must be talking about Buffy.
Oh, God. Yeah, so they have a little hubbub about Buffy. Mm-hmm. Like the show, messes with your mind, and we used to have a thing and all this.
Peg. Or, yeah, you knocked down a peg or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Angel... they're kind of talking about it, and then Angel bites Gage, and Buffy comes out and hears him yelling or struggling, runs over there, and she sees in time Angel kind of throw Gage away from him and then starts spitting out his blood.
I missed that part. I saw him push him away, and I was just like, and then I must have blinked because I missed that part. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
He starts like and throws Gage onto Buffy and takes off. Okay. And so Buffy's kind of like, I think she's given up protecting him. She's like, okay, well, see you tomorrow or whatever. He's like, hey, can you walk me home?
Yeah, that was cute.
He's like, was that what killed Dodd? And she's like, no.
Oh, something else.
Something else.
She's like, we have a lot of something else's in this town.
So we're at the pool for swim practice, and Cordelia, Willow, and Buffy are watching, and they're kind of discussing like theories of why Angel would spit out Gage's blood.
Like Buffy, the body doesn't like?
Yeah, like steroids, perhaps.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they think like maybe they're being drugged.
That could explain some behavioral changes and the winning streak suddenly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be something to that. And then Willow too, but Cordelia notices somebody new on the swim team coming out, and she's like, ooh, yeah, break me off a piece of that. And then she realizes it's Xander, her actual boyfriend.
Yep.
And Willow, Cordelia, and Buffy pop up. They're like, oh my God. And he comes over and he's like very shy. He like tries to grab stuff to cover himself up.
Yeah.
Because he's in a little red Speedo. And Willow is like, her eyes are like, Oz who?
Where's Oz? Come on.
She's like, Oz who? Oh my God. Like she's having, oh my God, best day of her life up to this point. And Cordelia's really into it, and Buffy's just kind of snickering.
Sunnydale swim team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then he tries to jump into the water. He said, well, first he says, I'm undercover, so I can watch like the team when Buffy can't be there. And then he goes to jump into the pool and like belly flop, basically.
Super great. Yeah, I got the question wrong last week.
Yeah, it was swim team.
And I should have known with the title, Go Fish.
I know.
It's such a giveaway.
It's okay. It's all right. So in the steam room, we just kind of see the creature like put his like claws like through a grate or whatever, so we know that they're in the area. And in the hallway, Xander leaves from practice, and Buffy's waiting kind of for them to like tag team out, like Gage watch.
Figure it.
Yeah. And like when Xander says, she's like, where's Gage? He's like, oh, he's putting his shoes on, but they're not the Velcro kind, so give him a few minutes.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, so Buffy's waiting for Gage to come out. Xander heads home. And we see Gage in the hallway. In the locker room. And he smells something weird. Or gross. He smells his armpits, thinks it's him. And then he is attacked by one of those Black Lagoon creatures. Yeah.
Buffy yells, she comes running.
She comes running and starts kind of like pulling him away from it. And then he falls on the ground. And while she's kind of assessing the situation while that monster's there, something starts happening to Gage.
Yep.
Like,
I was not expecting this.
He kind of like doubles over and everything. And all of a sudden, like this creature starts breaking out of his skin.
His skin peels off. It's not that something sucks him out of his skin. Something comes out of his skin.
Like bursts out. Like it's like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon.
Yeah, like alien, but not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Buffy's like, oh my god, and all of a sudden now there's two of them. Because it raises out of the remnants of Gage's skin. So she's like, great. So now she's got two of these like lizard monsters. And she's fighting both of them. One of them manages to bite her. And then the coach randomly comes in and like saves her.
Yeah.
And they jump into like a sewer grate that's in the locker room and disappear. So in the nurse's office, Giles is in there now. And the nurse is like mending Buffy's bite on her arm. And they basically tell the coach that his team is turning into monsters. They're very free with the information in this episode. They're just telling people what's happening. And he doesn't know why. He doesn't know what they were taking. She's like, what were they taking? Like, do you know, were they having steroids? He's like, I have no idea. Like, you start winning and you just don't want to really look too closely.
Like, I just had hoped I'd inspired them.
Yeah. So he is just totally clueless, doesn't have any idea what's going on, and we totally buy it.
Yeah, innocent.
In the classroom, they were looking up steroid abuse symptoms, and it actually, like, definitely tracks with what is going on with the team. They're looking at the medical records, too. So they're saying Nurse Greenlee must know about this because she has all their medical records and is obviously knows, like, what is going on with them when they're complaining of headaches or whatever they were complaining about. So I think she must know what's going on. Oh, yeah. So Xander is going to like go hang out with the team and kind of like casually throw out like, hey, man, where are the drugs?
Like, how are the drugs? Because I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so he's going to like subtly find out like where they're getting the drugs or what the drugs are. And Buffy and Giles are going to go fishing. That's what they say.
Right. Yes.
In the sewers, Buffy and Giles are searching for the monsters. Giles has a tranquilizer gun. And they don't see anything, but we kind of see like one of the creatures kind of stalking them from behind. All right, in the steam room, Xander asks, hey, we get any steroids around here?
When do we get our next dose?
He's like, I could use some steroids right now.
Yeah.
And so the guy that tells him what the deal is, did you recognize him?
No.
It's Shane West.
Who's Shane West?
He was in A Walk to Remember.
Oh.
Among other things.
Like that movie? Okay.
Yeah, I was a big fan of his.
Yeah, I like that movie. I loved that movie when I was in university. Okay.
Yeah, he's so cute. Anyway, yeah, this is Shane West. He just has a couple lines. But I was like, it's Shane West! And he says it's in the steam. Yeah. He's like, you're breathing it in right now. Like, this is how we're getting doped.
Aromatherapy steroids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Xander's like, shit. Yeah. Didn't realize that. So we go to the pool / like the back room at the pool, like the maintenance room for the pool or something. And we see the nurse Greenlee, and the coach are fighting. And the nurse is saying, basically, we have to stop. You're going to lose all of them.
You're going to lose more.
Yeah. And he's like, no. Like, she's trying to stop him from doing something that they kind of started together, it seems. And he's not willing to do that. So she's trying to get him to stop from drugging them any further. And so their fight continues into that, like, maintenance room. And basically, he throws her into, like, the sewer opening because now she's not going with the
plan.
The plan, yeah. So now she's a liability.
Gotta eat.
Yeah, he throws her down there, and she's down there in, like, waist-high water, and basically says that the boys have to eat.
It's not okay.
Yeah, so he's basically feeding, and he closes the door, walks away, or, like, the hatch or whatever.
Yeah, it's creepy.
And then she gets pulled underwater.
He's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. He's terrible, like, even if he wasn't, like, drugging these guys. Okay, so in the library, Xander reports back that it's in the steam.
Freaking out.
Buffy says, but you've only been exposed, like, one time. And he's like, more than that? 3 times. He's like, what, 1, 2, 3 times a fish man or something. So he's really freaking out that he's going to turn into a Black Lagoon creature. And of course, Cordelia is just concerned about what that will do for her social life. That it was bad enough dating Xander as he was.
And she makes a reference to the Blue Lagoon, and he gets mad, and he's like, that was
Brooke Shields.
And he's like, this is the Black Lagoon. That's funny.
Very different. Very different.
So Giles wants to know what's in the steroid gas.
Yeah, because he wants to know if, like, the local hospital can work up an antidote. So Willow is going to try to find Nurse Greenlee, and Buffy's like, yeah, I don't buy this coach's story. So I'm going to go find the coach.
Inspiration.
Yeah. So we're back in that pool area, and Buffy confronts the coach. And I feel like information is very freely and quickly given in this episode.
Yep.
He's like, oh, nuh-uh, yeah, huh, okay, you got me. So he says so apparently after, like, the Soviet Union used fish DNA in experiments, like Waco sharks and other, like predator fish DNA.
Yeah.
And they couldn't crack it. But this high school swim teacher cracked it.
He's really intelligent to me, but whatevs.
So, yeah, he's cracked this, and that's how he's put it in that's how he drugged them. And so he was trying to make them, like, better swimmers. I mean, it worked, kind of, until they catched.
He's basically for shame on Buffy, because he's like, you weren't in line for school spirit, were you? And she said, I was in line for shred of sanity.
Yeah. And you weren't there for sure, because he pulls out a gun. He pulls a gun on her.
This is why I think he was so free with the information, because he was just planning on. Yeah.
It's always, I mean, that's what villains always do. They're always like, I'm telling you my grand plan, because you are going to die right now. And, like, they never do. So he forces Buffy to get down to that hole where the nurse went and drops into the water. And this is also super, super gross.
This scene's so bad.
Yeah. Basically, she's like, oh, you're going to feed me them? He's like, no, they've already had their dinner. But the boys have other needs.
Yeah, that's just, I can't believe, yeah, with this episode.
Needs.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, ew. I put other needs, exclamation point, question mark, repeat. Gross.
I wasn't a huge fan of that. I didn't, yeah.
No.
I think they could have just I think they could have done without that. But.
That was, yuck. So we go to the pool, and Cordelia and Xander are walking by the pool, and Xander is convinced he has scales coming out the side of his neck. And Cordelia says, like, just go into the bathroom and check then, because, like, you're rubbing it, like, I can't tell what's going on. So he goes in there, and Cordelia keeps walking by the pool, and then she notices somebody jump in. She looks, it's one of those creatures, and she thinks that Xander has just turned and jumped in the pool. And she has this, like, interesting little speech where she's like, it's kind of sweet.
She's gonna stand by her fish man.
Yeah. She's like, I'm gonna get you, like, I can't remember everything she says, but she's like, I'm gonna support you, and I'll get you some floaties, or whatever she says. Like, she's gonna, like, try to make his life livable, and she won't abandon him.
Like, especially because he looked so hot in that Speedo.
Yeah. That's the redeeming thing. She's like, can keep that in her mind for the lonely, cold nights.
Like, sitting there talking to the cute little sea demon, and then Xander walks up and he's like, that's not me.
Yeah. And then he's like, ah! He jumps out of the water at them, and they run away screaming. In the library, Giles is locking up all the rest of the swim team in their, like, the handy-dandy cage, the book cage.
Right.
And he's like, don't worry, we either find an antidote and he walks away.
Like, everyone's accounted for except Did he say, was it Sean?
Sean. Yeah. Xander and Cordelia come in and like, oh, I think we found Sean. He was in the pool skinless dipping. So now we have 3 of them running around. He said Buffy has not come back yet, which is not a good sign. In the sewer, Buffy starts fighting the 3 of them off, the 3 of the lizard creatures.
A hard fight.
Yeah.
You're against one and they're strong.
Yeah. And you're in water, so like you just don't have the dexterity. Like you don't have you just can't move a lot slower, obviously. And Xander goes to find the coach. He confronts him with the coach and fights him. And it manages to like subdue him long enough to like look into the hatch and sees Buffy down there. Xander reaches down, Buffy manages to grab his hand and pulls her out before they can get to her. When Xander pulls Buffy out, the coach is there. He's ready to confront them again. And they kind of squabble and he falls into the hole.
Xander punches him.
All right, Xander punches him. Buffy grabs his foot.
She's trying to help him, yeah.
She's trying to stop him from falling in there because he is a human.
Yep.
But she can't hold him, and he falls into the water.
The coach at first doesn't think they're going to hurt him because he helped them. He coached them. He, inspired them.
Yeah. And so this is interesting. So they start attacking him.
Yep, they pounce.
Yeah, and Buffy says, well, they really love their coach. Does that mean what I think it means? Like, since they're not hungry?
Yep, they're having their other needs met.
Is that what you thought? Like, that's what I was like. Are you saying that they're like raping him?
Those boys really love their coach. The way she said it, her tone.
Yeah.
That's what it alluded to.
Oh my God, this is such a messed up episode.
Yeah.
So messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in the student lounge, Xander is saying that he is going regularly to the hospital with the rest of the swim team to get plasma transfusions. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of cycling all that shit out of their blood.
Okay. To get rid of their fish DNA?
Yeah. Cordelia is all impressed with Xander about being on the swim team. And she's like, you know what? You don't even have to join the new swim team if you don't want to. Like, I'd be fine if you played football. Like,
oh my God, Cordelia, way to miss the point.
Yeah. She's like, if Xander can just climb up the social ladder a few rungs, like, she is just, like, going to be so happy. Giles comes and says animal control. Animal control, I feel like, that they've been, like, at this school so much lately. Like, what's animal control with those freaking monsters, even if they found them?
Yeah.
I guess trank it, but Giles could do that.
What? Even when Giles just tranquilizers around, I was like, what are you going to do with that?
So animal control has come, but they didn't find the monsters. And Buffy says, yeah, I don't think so. We're going to find them. I think they went home.
Yeah. And
then we just have a quick shot, or not too quick, but we just have a brief shot of the beach where we see the 3 of the Loch Ness
sea creatures.
Yeah, the Black Lagoon
swimming
monsters. Out. Yeah, swimming out like into the ocean. And that's where they're going to live now. They're living off the coast of California. Yeah. So that's Go Fish. So my favorite quote was, I think we can safely say we found Sean. He was skinless dipping. Cordelia. That was a good one. And then I think I said my favorite scene. It was hard to choose one because I didn't love this episode. But I think when they, like, the girls, like, find out that Xander joined the swim team, I think it was a funny episode. And he's all, like, shy and he's, like, trying to cover his little Speedo up. And I just thought that was, like, funny part of the episode.
Okay. My favorite line was when Willow says, like an Oreo cookie, except without the chocolatey cookie goodness. Because I thought that was kind of, just the way she said it, even though it was kind of a gross part.
She was trying to make it willowy.
Yeah, willowy.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I have the favorite scene, same as yours, actually, when they...
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's so funny, just, like, watching the pan up, and, like, it doesn't do anything for me, and then when Cordelia is just, like... I was like, oh, this is hilarious.
She's like, oh my God, she's actually dating that guy.
I was like, this has got to be Xander, and then, of course, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't I gotta be honest, there wasn't, like, many to choose from that I was like...
Oh, this episode is my absolute least favorite.
Of all? Oh, interesting. It's not highly rated. It's like bottom 10 as well. Yeah. For most people. Your rating? I give it a 3 out of 5.
Same. Look at that.
Yes. Mostly, like, I don't think that the plot itself was that bad. I don't think it was that bad, but like all the like Buffy stuff, like with Cam in the car, like assaulting her, and like her Buffy's whole experience with the swim team and like the members of the swim team and the faculty and like Giles and her friends, and all of it was like a big failure.
Yeah, I hated it every minute of that. And then when she got pushed into the sewer to have other needs met, that just put me over the edge. Like I was already so angry before that part, and after that I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, this is a effed up episode.
It was dark, yeah. I was a fan. Yeah.
And not even in a way that's entertaining or like, oh, that was dark, but it was amazing. Like another one that was super dark was like Out of Mind, Out of Sight, where it's like real creepy and like messed up, but it was like really good. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas
this episode really tone deaf.
Yep. Not a fan.
Like, yeah. So the bad news is that it exists. The good news is we've done it. Mm-hmm. We've aired its dirty laundry. Like, we want to talk about the things we don't like about this show, and like that was not a highlight, that episode. And again, I was shocked that there was a female writer on that script. I was like, there's no way.
Let that happen. Like, I'm sorry to shame you, but this is unacceptable.
Yeah, that's really bad.
No one actually could tell them, like, don't do this, and they just did it anyway.
Maybe, I mean, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know the backstory, but not a good one. Not a good one, like, theme-wise. Yeah, so basically all of Buffy's experience through this episode I did not like. And that was enough to bring it all the way down for me.
Me too.
Was there anything else with your rating that...
I'm actually ready to be done talking about this episode.
Okay.
That's how much I disliked it.
Yeah. The good news is the next two are like, like just nonstop drama and revelations, and you learn all this backstory stuff, and like, really good.
So season 2, episode 21, what's it called?
Becoming Part 1.
Part 1. What's my question?
So someone that we've seen in the past, that we've come to meet in the past, returns. Who is it? This season. We've met them this season.
Well, this is the only season.
We're on season 2.
Oh, shit, you're right. What? How are we on season 2 already? Okay, so
we're almost done with season 2.
Okay. Oh, I hope she was in this season. The other vampire slayer, Kendra?
Yeah, Kendra. That was the season.
Okay. Yep, Kendra.
Because it was after Buffy died, and Buffy died in the season finale of season 1. So, okay.
Kendra.
I would be happy with that, because Kendra's cool. We didn't get enough of her.
No, we did not. And I don't remember anyone else, really. I think, like, everyone else seems to be, like, fairly recurring, or just, I can't picture them coming back, so.
Or, like, dead.
Dead, yeah. Jenny? Is Jenny coming back?
Oh, I wish.
Can we please bring her back?
I know. Okay, so Kendra is your answer. All right. So that wraps up season 2, episode 20, Go Fish. Again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl in All the World Pod. You can also email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. So thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with season 2, episode 21, Becoming Part 1. Slay real soon.